All right, I think we're live. Okay, great. So let's stop the screen share for a minute and get started. All right, hey everybody. Welcome to Holo's Delivery Brief. And this is our short format live stream that we're going to continue to do about every month, once a month. And that's to keep everyone apprised of how the work is going as we begin to deliver infrastructure and hosting services to projects in the Holochain ecosystem. So as you all know, I'm Mary Camacho. I'm the executive director of Holo, and yeah, we're going to get started in just a minute. I want to pause before I do. So I don't know if everybody here knows, but I actually live part-time in Valencia in Spain. There's been a lot going on there with some major storms and flooding. It's been pretty horrendous. And so I wanted to just say something here. I don't do a lot of posts on social media these days that are more personal, but I didn't want to skip over kind of just sharing. I'm a bit heartbroken, torn up about what's going on. There's just hundreds of people, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people who are affected by these floods. And I can't even imagine what it's going to take. I'm not there right now. I'm in Gibraltar. I had just happened chance um, left the area one day before the storms hit. But anyway, I'm sharing. I think the news on this is pretty bad, and so I wanted to just have the folks here put a video out that is one that I think really shows the breadth of what happened and where it happened. It's in Spanish. Don't worry about it. You can mute the sound and just watch the video and see the map and see the pictures and see what's happening. And I think it's a really great view. And then if we could screen share and show sort of a before and after, I just to give a sense of like how this has affected a region in terms of what the flooding looks like. Can we put that one photo on real quick? Um, yeah, yeah, this one. So these are two photos taken from satellite. One was taken on the 8th of October, and then the other one was taken on the 30th of October. And as you can see, there's an inland lake, and it was small. And now all of this other area beside it, you can see where rivers have been just flooding into the area. This is all just south of the city where I live, and it's unbelievable what's happened in this zone and how much water has gone in the last like in 2 days. So anyway, there's a lot of people in Valencia that folks that I've been talking to that most are well, but there's just so many affected. So I just wanted to share that a little bit before we get started. All right. Kind of shift gears. Thanks everyone. So we shared some important shifts this week, and today in this video or in this live stream, I'm going to dig into about what some of those things mean, why we're doing it. But I really want to say that this brief, what you're hearing from me today, this is going to come from the Holo hosting perspective. Later next week, and in some of future times, you're going to hear more from the perspective of the Holochain Foundation and also more from the Holofuel group. And so we'll talk a little bit about what that means. So firstly, we're changing our priorities in Holo, and that's because we want to focus on delivering hosting products and services that projects need right now to keep developing, testing, and going to market. And this is really important because this is how Holo delivers value to the entire ecosystem. Projects have been asking us for years, actually, for help with infrastructure, with DevOps and hosting. And our response to them mostly has been, we're not ready, right? Because we've been building the platform. And our priority was really just to build that full integrated platform. It was based on the original vision that we shared in the green paper, and what we did everything for. So, the original vision was a full platform where hosts and projects could interact directly, sort of, and where Holofuel was a peer-based payment system that allowed direct payment between Holoport owners for the services that they were providing to, projects, whether those were developers or companies that were paying for the hosting services. And additionally, with that, what our initial product was, this was a specific product that we were enabling, which was source chain hosting. And what that did was allow end users to log in from a URL. A lot of you guys have participated in some of the testing over the years, and so you know that there's been ways to log into Holochain apps and test them. So we've had different parts of all of this working at different levels throughout the years. But we fundamentally haven't been meeting the project needs, because the original vision of the platform with Holofuel, even at launch, wasn't going to necessarily help the projects with what they need right now. And I've mentioned this a couple of times. In some of the prior briefs that we had, I talked about different products that were needed. So one of the things we're shifting right now, and I'll talk about why in a little bit, but I'm saying what right now is how we can help projects right now, what they do need right now to be successful. They need always on nodes. Those are DNA, DHT nodes. In Holochain language, the DNA is sort of the application itself. It's the backend application with all the validation rules. The DHT is the distributed hash table. It's the shared data space where published data is held by the nodes that are participating in the application. So they need always on nodes that allow installed users. So when you have a Holochain application that you install yourself, so you're doing a local install, you don't always find somebody else that's on at the exact same time. A good example of this is there's a really great product that's been out and available for a long time. It's called Acorn. And Acorn is a Holochain application that allows you to create dependency trees, lets you do like strategic planning, lets you do a form of project management based on these dependency trees. It's fabulous. It's really something we've been using internally for planning purposes for quite a while. And this application, one of the pitfalls, one of the problems is that when somebody creates one of these boards or trees and then shares the link with somebody else that they want to work with, well, if they shut their laptop, you can't sync. If you only have 2 or 3 people using it, you can't sync the data, you can't get to it. So what always on nodes provides is a way to have a DHT always available to sync with. So that's super important. The other thing that a lot of the projects need are web servers, and the web servers are really important. And this was something that we used with Fractal Tribute. And what it does is it allows the Holochain application to expose application data on the web publicly, or even behind a permission wall, but not necessarily using a full node to log in. So it allowed people to see app data from a URL. That's another piece of what that some of these projects are asking for right now, that we've been able to do versions of this already. Some other things are test networks with automated testing services. These are sorts of things we've built and used internally. And there's a couple of other things, but really the point is about this. We've built versions, one-off versions, or quick deploy versions of all of these things. But we had to, because we needed them for ourselves. We needed them for testing the Holochain project. We needed them, like I said, for the POC, the Fractal Tribute application that we did a year ago. And there have been 1 or 2 other projects that have we've had partnerships with, that we've done certain things for. But for all of the others who have been making requests, mostly we've just said we can't do that because we're focused on getting the platform built. And right now, our next step is to deliver those services that they need and deliver them now. So that's the shift that we're making this minute. And that's why we're talking about delivery. That's a big difference. And I'll talk a little bit about what it also means with Holofuel and the rest of the platform. So let's shift into Holofuel and the platform. The platform is a micro hosting and payment services platform. So Holofuel, the way that we have been testing it, it uses just about all of the features inside of Holochain. And as you know, Holochain's been being built for a long time. We've had a lot of different versions of Holochain. A lot of different features have been added, especially in the last year in Holochain. But the reality is some of these features haven't been fully tested with each other or at scale in the Holochain context. And because of that, we were having a lot of challenges when we were with testing, when we paired it with our platform and the network. So because of this, essentially the integrated platform with the microservices with HoloFuel, that can't be launched yet, which is exactly why we're saying we have to shift now to deliver services to projects, because other types of applications in Holochain are being built and require hosting now. So it does not mean that HoloFuel is not critical to the project. Holochain is, or HoloFuel is absolutely still critical to our project in the long term. And in fact, HoloFuel is bigger than just us. And this is one of the big opportunity issues that has been kind of happening in parallel. I think you've probably heard me or David or Arthur or others talk about over the past years, there have been a lot of changes, right? A lot of changes in the market, a lot of changes in the broader ecosystem, in regulatory frameworks all over, right? Economic changes, all things have changed, technological changes. One of those things is that a lot of other projects are doing infrastructure that they actually need mutual credit accounting systems and units of account that power micropayments. That's what the HoloFuel design is. And we're starting to be in lots more conversations with those projects that are looking to use this. But the way we had basically set up HoloFuel and the way we were setting up HoloFuel within the tightly integrated context of the Holo platform, it wasn't going to work. It wouldn't have allowed really the use by other platforms. It might have allowed, you might have been able to do it in an application setting, but not really in a full, as a full platform backing system. And so what we've decided to do between some of the challenges that we were having with getting it ready in time and needing to like shift into making deliveries now, we've decided to spin out the HoloFuel component of the platform into its own organization. And then later, when both Holochain testing and everything's ready and HoloFuel is ready, we'll come back and we'll look at reintegrating for the microservices and the micropayments. So there are tons of other details. I'm going to try to answer a whole mess of questions that have already come in from folks who saw the announcement that went out earlier this week. And then we'll answer some of the questions that are coming in today. And then, of course, there's just going to be more and more clarification that is going to come over the course of the next week or two. They're going to come from us and Holo and also from Holochain Foundation, as well as the new HoloFuel group. And what you'll notice is that we're going to start speaking a little bit more from those different perspectives and really look at how we're each delivering to different parts of the ecosystem. Okay. So that took a little longer than I expected. And well, let's dig in. We've got about 15 minutes left to go. So first question is, great. What's the difference between a launch brief and a delivery brief? Can I elaborate? Yes. Launch is a very specific term that I've been using related to the launch of the full integrated platform with HoloFuel. I'm going to leave that language, the launch of the integrated platform with HoloFuel, kind of aside for a while. And we're going to be talking about what we're delivering and how hosting services can be used by projects, and how Holoports and Holoport owners are going to be engaging with Holo in order to make this work, because things are going to be changing. We've already sent out emails and messages on the forum for the Holoport owners about making some shifts to how the Holoport Alpha program is working. We're going to be making changes to that in this coming month, and we're actually going to be meeting with folks, doing basically some sessions to bring people in and make sure we're getting feedback from our stakeholders about, hey, does this, how would this work for you? How would that work for you? So it can really integrate all of the wants and needs of the ecosystem participants and the stakeholders in this project, because that's what matters to us, is doing this in a community way. So what we'll be doing from here on out are delivery briefs, and we'll be doing those about once a month. Great. Next question. Does this mean we go live with the Holo hosting service, but use HOT at the beginning instead of HoloFuel for the payment service? How will hosting with HOT differ from hosting with HoloFuel? And will hosts still set the price for their services? Okay, great. These are a set of questions that came in that go together and are really important. So, right, we announced that we're going to start accepting HOT as payment for services. So we're still sorting out all the details. A lot of you may recall we actually accepted HOT as payment for Holoports at one point as well. But this is a little different because we had said previously that HOT wouldn't have a utility with regards to hosting services. We're changing that right now, and we're changing it because we need to get these services to the projects. And so this is a way that we can do it, and it's also a way that we can have HOT become useful immediately, because a lot of the projects actually have HOT and could pay with HOT. So we're going to be giving them that option. We're, like I said earlier, we're reaching out to stakeholders. And so some of the stakeholders are also the projects. We've been talking to them about what they need, but we're also going to be talking about them about how they might want to pay for this, how, what services, are necessary first. And basically, this is a work in progress for us. And so I don't have all the exact answers about what it will look like, how it will go. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to be sorting that out, and then we'll make it explicit and we'll put it on the website. Well, how will hosting with HOT differ? Well, one of the things that's very different is that what HoloFuel and the automation in the platform was providing was the ability to do things in a lot of microservice ways, right? We could do micro payments. We could measure things and actually be doing very small units of transaction. We can't do that until we have the whole platform with HoloFuel. So one of the changes that we're making is, how do we provide the pricing, and how do we get this out, and how do we set people up? There is going to be probably something that looks a little bit more traditional around like simplifying pricing down so that we can make it very easy for the projects to pay. And then it'll be sort of a layer of ours that we're going to have to handle about getting the holoports that are providing the services compensated for their participation in the networks that are being used for this. And I say networks because some of these we've already done this in a way. Some of the test networks, holoports have been moved from one network to another network to another network. That's a way that we've been managing what we can test. We've got Holochain using a set of holoports in one network. We've got HoloFuel doing some scale testing still from the last version of HoloFuel in another network. We've got different aspects of Holo that has been using the Alpha network or the other test networks. This is something that, like, how we do that may change a little bit, but more importantly, how we show people what their Holoport is doing will be changing a little bit. And then how we address what we're paying people and what that accounts for, that will change some in the upcoming period of time. This is critical. We have to do this. We think that the changes we're making will be actually quite useful for people having good visualizations of how holoports are providing service anyway, but it might not be at such a granular level to start out. So that's related more to the simplification of pricing and payment of holoport owners. So moving on with the current shift, Will more holoports be needed to support the new demand, as in either non-alpha program participants or those who have no holoport yet? And are there plans to sell new holoports as some hardware might be outdated? Those are a lot of important questions. Great. So I don't know that I would say there's more demand. I think several briefs ago, I talked about how um, there's not a ton of demand. In some way, we've been pushing back against what people can build with Holochain because we haven't had the network alive. Now that we're making some of these new things possible, this will allow projects that maybe had stopped building because they were waiting to be able to make it more market ready to come back and start, to kind of get back into that process. We're talking to tens and like 30 to 50 different projects right now in the last couple of weeks we've chatted with about what they need, but we don't even know. There's a lot more projects out there that we haven't talked to yet. So it's not really clear, but I don't think that there's a huge demand that we can't meet with the number of holoports that exist today. That said, the Holoport Alpha program is going to change, and folks who might not have been able to participate in the past, that's something we're going to address with these changes. That's going to happen over the course of the next month as we work with Holoport owners to listen to their feedback, listen to their input, and sort out how can we do this in a way that works for people the best way. So I don't have all the answers. The team's going to be working, pretty much every week for the next couple of weeks to get it. And when we have it, we'll start communicating it first to that community of Holoport owners and then later out more broadly. So as of now, there are no plans to sell new holoports. There may be that we get some advice about how people might be able to update certain things on holoports if that comes to be necessary. So, but we're not really, I don't have a lot of the detail on that sort of thing at this stage, and I will leave that more to our delivery team to answer those kinds of questions on the Holo forum. So, next question. Why the sudden shift and use of hot instead of HoloFuel? Is HoloFuel still in the pipeline to be used for hosting in the Holo ecosystem in the future? I think I've already mostly answered this, but it's sudden, but it's not sudden. It took us a little bit of time. I mean, I apologized recently on the Telegram channel for going radio silent. A little bit what it took was we had to kind of go quiet a bit to sort out how we can make some of these changes, whether or not that affected our promises to our stakeholders, and the way that we've ended up making some of the changes or deciding to move forward. We actually haven't done the structural changes yet, but the way we've made the decisions to move forward has been in concert with a lot of advice, in concert with a lot of deep, like looking at what have we promised and what can we do, and how do we actually meet what I would call the charter of the Holochain Foundation, which is saying we're here to evolve, grow, and support fully the ecosystem of Holochain projects and applications, and build Holochain into this peer-to-peer system that can be the change that we've all been waiting for. So one of the things that many of you may or may not understand is Holo Limited, which is the Holo hosting company, is owned fully by the Holochain Foundation. So I reference back to the Holochain Foundation charter because in a way, while we are this company that's providing hosting and doing infrastructure services, we're still under the sort of guidance of an ownership of this foundation that has got this broader commitment to the entire ecosystem. So yes, we do still have a commitment to be using HoloFuel because both HoloFuel and Holo Hosting are critical to the growth of the ecosystem. So will the Holo Host console, will the host console on mobile be updated as well? I don't have a lot of details right now on the host console. I didn't know the host console was ever really made to be mobile first or mobile friendly. which not all functions are working on the phone as it works on the PC as our laptop. Yes, this was intended to be a computer first, not a mobile first console. But I will say that the host console may or may not be supported going forward. I'm going to try to go a little bit more quick through a bunch of questions. So, is this statement still true? HOT is just a placeholder token for Holofuel. Holofuel doesn't technically exist yet. Once Holofuel is released, you will have 6 months to swap your HOT tokens for Holofuel at 1-to-1. After a 6-month period, the two will be separated and left to market exchanges, but mainly the host to dictate its value. Okay, that's a long statement that somebody put all into a question. Yes, that's mostly true, except HOT, instead of just being a placeholder, will also be accepted for hosting services immediately, perhaps making it immediately more of a utility. But we are still going to be implementing Holofuel into Holo eventually. And when that's ready and when that happens, the plan is for it to still work according to all the ways we've described so far. Is it really worth jumping through all these hoops to start hosting with HOT if Holofuel will be available in a few months? Shouldn't they just focus on launching Holofuel as soon as possible? Well, they will be. The Holofuel group will be doing this. They're going to be focused on getting Holofuel working, not just for us, but in a way that actually can be backed by other infrastructure projects. They're going to talk a lot more about this in the coming weeks, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I think this is critical for people to get because this is going to make Holofuel so much more valuable in the like to the ecosystem in general, so much more useful to the ecosystem because Holofuel, the application, this mutual credit application, is something that's necessary. It's actually been missing. It provides a mechanism that's actually missing from other projects, and they've been talking to us about that need. So just wanted to say that. Another question was this change necessary to secure the deal with Vodafone? No, this change is not specific to Vodafone, but I love that somebody brought this up because Vodafone is a huge win right now, and they're starting to ship their phones out. I'm so excited. I'm on the list. I'll be receiving my Vodafone. I know I had one. I was out at a conference with one of the new Quintus phones, and I kind of showed it on one of the videos, but I'm actually getting my own. I'm super excited to have to be receiving that. So I'll share that when I receive my own. Couple other quick questions. We got a couple more minutes. Will Holofuel that we earn in Holo reports be transferred to HOT? No, Holofuel cannot be transferred to HOT. That's been accrued when everything is integrated and when the launch of the platform with integrated Holofuel happens. All of the things that we said previously, the payments of accrued Holofuel, the swap that is 1-to-1 for a minimum of 6 months, all of those things will happen at that point. Not now. At this point, we're delivering services. Those services people will be able to pay with HOT. We will make sure that hosts are compensated for the work that's being done for projects when the payment is being received for that. And so that's something we're going to sort out with hosts and with projects in the coming couple of weeks. Can I please share on partnerships? Are there any large orgs interested in the Holo ecosystem? I'm going to leave that for some of the other folks that are going to be talking about Holofuel, and David has some different things that he'll be talking about when he gets out on an AMA in the next couple of weeks. How is VASP going? Well, actually, that's a really interesting question. Part of the change is that with Holofuel being spun out into another entity, that part of it, that on-ramp and off-ramp, which is the reserve on-ramp, off-ramp, all of that will be moving with the Holofuel part of the project. So we will be integrating and receiving services from Holofuel when that happens. So part of the transition is us sorting out that we make sure that in every step we take, we're still able to meet all of the promises that we've been making to stakeholders. And that is about it. I think I've hit most of the questions, or the ones at least that they've given me from the live stream. I'm sure more questions will come up in the coming week, in the coming month. We'll be listening. We'll be pulling those questions back where we can. We'll be answering them on forums, in Telegram, and whatnot. And I just want to put a huge thank you out to everybody. We sent an email out, like I said, or we posted on the Holo forum to a bunch of the hosts, and just had some amazing response of people wanting to participate, people wanting to continue contributing to the project and participating in the project. And thank you for all that you've already contributed and participated, and for taking on this next stage with us and taking this actually out to projects and making a difference so that they can get to market. We'll have lots more information about those things in the coming weeks and months. Thanks, everyone.